Okay, recording. Got it. Thank you, Soph. Well, welcome everybody to our like semi-annual meeting, maybe, on just an update on what the utilities are doing in the energy performance space. We generally have every other year have invited the utilities to update us and debrief us on what they're doing in the energy efficiency program space. So today we have 4 utilities to debrief us on what they're providing for energy efficiency programs and primarily incentives, right? So that's the bottom line. What are they paying to purchase energy savings from buildings? So we have Puget Sound Energy, we have Seattle City Light, we have Snohomish County PUD, and we have Tacoma Power. And we're going to start off with Brian Zoller. I have never met Brian, but hello, Brian. And he's going to give us a debrief on what Puget Sound Energy is offering in the energy in the incentive program space. And so I am going to share. Let me get there. Can you guys see that? Good, good. Okay. I should probably go full screen here. Okay, Brian, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Welcome. Thanks for taking the time in the late afternoon. I appreciate it. So I've been with PSC for about a year now. I'm a strictly energy efficiency account executive within the building energy management. I'm not an engineer, so if I get one of those questions, I'll have to divert. But please take my email and number in case you do have questions and I can't answer them. I will try to find someone who can if I cannot. Next slide, please. So quick agenda, a couple messages we want you to hear, how to find stuff, and then we'll go from industrial down to small, and we'll see about some questions. Next slide. We always have to do a safety moment at PSC, so lift with your legs or you might hurt yourself, and I found that as I age, it's happening more rapidly and frequently. So next slide. So our main message is contractors and customers is we really are open for business and we do want projects. In fact, we're in the process of hiring 3 more folks like myself who focus strictly on energy efficiency. Our goals are increasing to get more energy savings on the gas and electric side because we know there's going to be new load coming on over the next couple decades. So we want to partner as best we can. And literally, if it saves energy cost effectively, we'll do our best to provide incentives. Just ask and get to us before projects start. And then if you find one of our programs not functioning well, one of my missions is to fix them and work with our program managers and engineers to see how we can simplify. So I'm open to your opinions. And then if you have recommendations for something new that we don't offer, please get a hold of me. Let me know your thoughts. Next slide, please. Getting to stuff, can be difficult on PSC's site. You go up first to the psc.com, then you hit the business button, and then you hit the efficiency and green options, and then that's what you'll see. It'll get you to places far more quickly. Next slide. And then I know that some of you have had difficulty finding things, so I'm going to send out an email through SOAP that has links so you can find what you're looking for more easily, and a couple new links for a couple new program efforts we have going on. Next slide, please. So the industrial management program, we have these 4 programs. The first one is for greater than 3 million kWh customers. We have two cohorts running now that are SCM based, wastewater treatment plants and manufacturing cohorts. We're always recruiting for these, but we have to wait for a grouping to get together enough, like 4, 5 to 8, and then we'll do a cohort and train everyone in a group setting. And there's a lot of individual coaching there. It's really a solid program. Industrial system optimization, that's for greater than 1 million kWh. We have current projects and also are recruiting for that. Really good for optimizing what you have for processes and manufacturing. And then this will be a theme that runs through. Our incentives increase from 0.35 or 35 cents per kWh and from $5 to $6 a therm. Generally for capital, that's up to 70% of the annual total cost of equipment and installation. Similarly, for the small commercial, we have the same incentive. And we're looking to start something for operation and maintenance more performance-based for those customers that are less than 1 million kWh. Next slide. So on the left here, most of our common projects are one-offs, but then we have more comprehensive paths. So the ones in green below are where you'll see we'll pay usually by performance at the meter. That's a typical building, obviously, probably a commercial office building, but when you get into things like grocery stores, that kind of flips. So there's two paths we're kind of tracking at PSE. Next slide, please. So retrofits on the commercial side, this is our custom grant. So again, up to 40 cents, $66 a therm. Variable refrigerant flow increased from $1 to $3 a square foot. Combined heat and power, that's increasingly becoming more popular. That's 40 cents kilowatt hour, up to 70% in PSE territory. Controls, this is up to 50% of a total project cost. So if you're doing a controls project, you definitely want to touch base with us. And that's a mixture of base pay plus the performance over the year. And then commissioning, we have 4 programs: tune up existing buildings commissioning, new construction commissioning after the building is set, and then monitoring based. And so this year we're adding monitoring to other ones if that's what you desire. And then there's more incentive for that. And I tried to get that simplified, and I'll just defer everyone to Jason Hyatt, who presented here a couple months ago. Probably of note for contractors, we're replacing in the fall our My Data system and My Data Manager, which is interval data, with a new system called Energy Cap, which will handle both. With all of the benchmarking going on, we just envision a lot more requests for energy data, so we need something a lot more stable. Next slide, please. I'm going to harp on this a little bit in the sense that, especially if you're a contractor, we're going to be doing a presentation to help contractors understand this a little bit more. As you may know, Clean Buildings passed since July. It's mandatory come 26, 7, 8, depending on the size of your building. And this is here to stay. Like measuring and benchmarking buildings, obviously started in Seattle, but this is Washington wide for 50,000 square foot and greater. SB 5722 just passed, and that's going to be creating the situation where 20 to 50,000 square foot buildings are also going to have to benchmark starting in 2027. The EUITs for that are not going to be out probably till about 2029. But the idea of benchmarking your building and Energy Star Portfolio Manager is something we all have to get used to. And so we've developed a site. All the other utilities are on board with this, and we're trying to educate and help our customers to understand how to comply. So next slide, please. Yep. Oh, probably a good note is compliance is a building owner's obligation, but we want to be here as utilities to help customers. And so we created the accelerator program, and we are currently in our second cohort. This is really helpful for customers. And for contractors who are serving them, it's helpful for them. And so this is designed to help people understand the law, understand the O&M and energy management plan, how to look at their building and what that building needs, and where it falls in terms of the benchmarking and which EUIT, given the unique characteristics of each building. Customers really like the fact that we're able to help them figure out their buildings and then take them through this process, get them set, and then they can do this across any of their campus buildings. And we keep doing this over a year. So for those who, start early, there are some benefits 1 through 5. But for those who are going to wait, you risk quite a bit above and beyond just O&M savings, less incentives, the possibility of utility incentives not being there because it's generally more or less code. Fines, there's going to be fines, and then just angst amongst those at the end of the year. So we're encouraging people to get on board. We have a great website that keeps getting updated where you can find many things about commerce and this law. Next slide. So we have a new pay for performance. It was a pilot. It's now a program. This is great if you expect 15% or greater reduction through a variety of things that as a contractor or customer you want to have done. And this is kind of a mix between custom and performance-based. You can mix and match, but it does require at least 2 capital measures. And it's a great way to go because it allows a lot of flexibility, low paperwork, and measures that may not be individually qualified, like Windows. You could do that under pay for performance in conjunction with other things. So for the energy hog buildings, this is a great way to go. We have a telecom energy management effort now. That's kind of a pilot. We just started this with Willdan. And so this is very focused on these particular customers. Again, 40 cents for capital and then 5 cents for O&M. And this is a very focused effort to help these entities save energy because they tend to use quite a bit. And then we also have a virtual commissioning pilot that's probably going to be a program because we're seeing really good results. And that's a third party, Power Watt, who's running this off of our AMI data. They're looking for anomalies and idiosyncrasies in the data, and then they'll call up the customer, explain who we are, what we're trying to achieve, and then help them through at no cost to the customer, no paperwork. And this is great for small and medium businesses to help them just kind of dial in things. Next slide, please. We have a new horticulture lighting. This could be for pot, marijuana, but it could be for vertical farming as well. So for retrofit, the baseline is existing. And we got to confirm that just like all our lighting programs before. And I'm going to practice some vocabulary here for new construction. The UMOL J rating, the better that is, the higher the incentive. And I'm just going to practice this. Photosynthetic photon efficacy. Damn, I almost got it. So the better that is, the better the incentive is. And so you can use our workbook to figure that out. Added tenant improvement and new construction, lighting only projects are now in the application. Code is Washington State baseline. And then exterior network lighting controls and interior luminary level lighting controls have a bonus. I know Michael Lane and Andrew have been talking about that for a while. Those are great. And then retrofit lighting projects, just use existing lighting as the baseline. Next, please. New construction, whole building energy modeling approach. Again, 40 cents kWh, $6 a therm. The EUI performance method, it now offers a base payment at the end of construction. A lot of, clearly customers want to get paid quickly. So at least that part's being paid. And then any savings beyond, we pay probably at 5 cents. And I don't know that for sure, and I apologize. And then all C&I new construction and tenant improvement lighting only projects will be in our business lighting workbook, which they weren't before. And that's on our website. Next slide, please. I'm going to let the other utilities talk about this, but much of what we do now is moving midstream distributor level. And there's good reasons for that. And then if something, probably as contractors, if something was incented through the midstream incentive program, then we're going to back out the savings and incentives through other programs like commissioning or pay for performance. So just know that that is being done so we don't double count, and we don't get caught by the Washington Commission. So we have to watch that. Still have heat pumps, $500 a ton. P-tax are a great option for lodging, 80% or $650, whatever comes first. There's so many incentives for lodging, food service, and they're still quite generous. So I'll send links out to all these things. We still have a small business direct install available for the smaller businesses who want to just start somewhere. And then most of our multifamily, new and existing, are still available. Next slide, please. And then that's my information. So I'll stop there.
Thanks, Brian. We'll have time for questions, I think, at the end. But I really appreciate that's a pretty comprehensive presentation. I think if there's energy savings anywhere, PSE has some incentives. So I really appreciate the debrief on that. So any other questions anybody have for PSE on that? Hands up. Anybody?
I just heard Energy Cap. Is that the software that's been around for a long time from the East Coast? Is that the Energy Cap, or is there something you're making yourself?
No, that's a vendor, and I don't know how long it's been around, Perry, but it's definitely a vendor that's doing that. We can't do this.
Yeah, it was part of a shared RCM program back in 2010 that PSE participated in.
Well, it's good because they have experience. That's what we need. Thank you.
Thanks, Perry. Lynn, what's up? What's Seattle City Light?
I'll take it away. Let me share my screen first to make sure we've got everything worked out. Can everybody hear me okay?
There you go.
Yep.
All right. Always a good idea to double check all that stuff. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Len Canapel. I'm an energy management analyst for Seattle City Light. I've been here for about 7.5 years, and I always introduce myself to customers and contractors as the only happy public servant out there. And the main reason why is I have money to give away, so people treat me well. I also wear my Seattle City Light hat when I'm out hiking and mountaineering and things like that, because I want to know when people are happy, and mostly I hear when they're unhappy. But I'm very willing to take those kind of pot shots because I think it's critical to go out there and connect with the public. So the good news is we like to think of ourselves as superheroes here at Seattle City Light in the energy efficiency business. I work for Customer Energy Solutions, and I have a whopping 10 slides total and 10 minutes to do this with. So we don't have a lot of time, and I'm gonna want you to walk away knowing that we have a lot of different programs and we have money to give away for improving your efficiency of your equipment and buildings. So the first thing is taking a step back rhetorically. Why do we offer incentives? And the rhetorical answer, why would we not? And the reason why, as annotated here, energy conservation is a resource, just like upgrading the tools and the equipment at your building. This is one of our best ways to reach our kilowatt hour savings is through energy conservation. It also concurrently lowers your electricity use and reduces your operating cost. Notice that is in green. It makes a big difference if you can go out there and increase your efficiency and concurrently reduce your operating cost. And as Brian had noted here, a third element here is meeting the Washington State Clean Buildings Law. So there are energy use intensity targets. That's the subscript T starting in 2026 that all buildings have to meet 50,000 square feet or larger. And I think now with the new bill, 20,000 feet or larger. And finally, for us in the city of Seattle, another good reason to reduce your kilowatt hour or your consumption is electrification. So there is obviously a big push on in transportation and in the building sector to go out and electrify. Our best and most prudent path is to reduce load and then electrify, and that will help us lower our greenhouse gas emissions throughout the city, the state, and the world. So on to it, let's talk money. 3 ways that Seattle City Light can assist with your project. So we have 3 different flavors here. We've got discounts, and discounts are instant discounts that are taken at the distributor level for qualified distributors. That's a midstream program. We also have rebates and incentives. So Brian wanted me to cover or give utilities just a little bit about lighting here and the midstream program. Let's just see if this works. I have a suspicion this is going to be acting a little flaky on me. And it may already be doing that. Oh, there we go. Okay, so here is lighting to go, which is coming up a little slowly. This is for lamps and fixtures. So for anything that's a fairly small project, we've kind of offloaded that onto the lighting to go program. So there are limits on how many lamps and fixtures you can actually purchase through this program. I'm sorry, lamps do not have a limit, fixtures do. And this is just a small sampling of those things that go through those distributor levels. But that's a great program, again, to go out there and make things a lot more refined. Now, on the HVAC side of things, again, we also have the same kind of program midstream through qualified distributors on our list that cover things like heat pumps, air conditioners and chillers, VRF, and heat pump water heaters. Again, we've offloaded those things to make life a lot easier on us by having those things go through the midstream program. So rebates are a little different. So rebates are things that you simply apply online, no pre-approval required. And we have just a small listing of things that go through this, including one of my favorite programs, ARC, which is the Advanced Rooftop Controls, or the second one that you see there on the list. And I'll go through that in a little bit with some of those rebates that we actually have. And third are incentives, which are the downstream program. That's a $1 per kilowatt hour savings that applies to commercial retrofit and new construction. Okay, so the 3 types of Seattle City Light programs we have for incentives. We have lighting, we have HVAC, and whole building. So lighting and HVAC, you know a fair amount about. Whole building, we are kind of expanding, and as Dwayne noted, things are going towards EUI and EUITs. This makes a huge difference in the kind of programs that we have to offer and that we're trying to offer to help introduce those kilowatt hour savings. So we have retro commissioning, including existing building commissioning, monitoring-based commissioning, pay for performance, and energy efficiency as a service. So let's do a little dive into these 3. So for lighting, just as always, we have new or retrofit fixtures that are on the DLC list. That's 15 cents per kilowatt hour saved for the list of things that you see there. We also have network lighting controls, or NLC, and that's a $75 fixture bonus for any of these fixtures, plus the fixture and control savings that amounts to 30 cents per kilowatt hour saved. So that's a huge plus, and I've actually done a number of projects with these network lighting controls, and that is definitely the vanguard of the future. At the bottom, I've actually outlined where these are on our incentive sheets. And again, I'm going to send you a single link at the end of this presentation to show you exactly where our incentives are and how to apply for them. HVAC. So again, things like chiller plant upgrades, variable speed drives and air handling units, BAS controls. We've got a whole lot of measures that are handled under that commercial retrofit program, and including and not limited to ARC. Now remember, ARC is part of a rebate, but whether it's gas or electric, and you can see what's highlighted there, the incentives range from $500 per rooftop unit for single phase, all the way up to $4,500 per ton for anything greater than a 20-ton unit. So there's some really good programs that we have, and sometimes, especially like ARC, seems to be highly underutilized when there are proven savings on the order of 25 to 35 and even 40% for engaging in those. Okay, so the third flavor is whole building. So again, existing building commissioning. So think about what we call low cost, no cost kinds of commissioning, where let's say that your sensors there for your air ducts haven't been looked at, setbacks have not been monitored. We're looking for anything that can give you somewhere around 7 to 20% energy savings with payback periods of 2 years or less. And for those buildings that are in the city of Seattle, it also meets concurrently the Seattle tune-up ordinance. So again, think low cost, no cost type measures for this. Requirements are you have to have a 50,000 square foot building or larger of conditioned space. 75% of the space operated it and has to have DDC. Now, if you're going beyond existing building commissioning and monitoring building commissioning into something bigger for capital type improvements, let's say a chiller plant upgrade with lighting, now you might want to think about pay for performance. Same kind of requirements as existing building commissioning there at 50,000 square feet or more of conditioned space. You also need an interval meter and stable building use. And of course, that's been a little bit difficult to define over the last couple of years with the pandemic. But there are typical energy savings of about 15 to 20% in pay for performance. And we have a 3-year and 5-year plan, depending on what your payback period is and how extensive your upgrades are. By doing pay for performance, that also meets the requirements of the Seattle tune-up ordinance. Let's not forget new construction incentives. So the list that you see is multifamily and commercial and industrial. Multifamily, again, are typically deemed measures like you're seeing clothes dryers at $75 per unit, washers that are Energy Star rated and things like that. But we've also got commercial program listings as well for whole building funding. That's the total building performance path. That's the C407 through the 2018 Seattle Energy Code. That requires modeling to be done. And you're going to compare the actual or the building proposed with the actual compliance measures and see how far below the code you are. Any energy savings that are better than code, that's what we incentivize on. And something relatively new, we have no lighting incentives now for new construction projects for anything received after January 1st of this year. So a big question always comes up. So this is all great. How the heck do I apply for these incentives and where is your information? So I'm going to click this one-stop shopping link. And what you see highlighted are really the two things you want to look for: rebate and incentive list. There's a lot of other good information in here. The applications rebate forms are here as well. So I'll send this out on the chat, and then you can bookmark this, and this will give you that one-stop shopping to get all the information that you need. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller here. But this is the one place to go to find everything you need for our rebates, for commercial rebates, retrofit, as well as new construction, and the application and rebate forms as well in here. This hopefully makes things a lot easier for people to find this information, since there's just one URL to go through, because it makes it kind of onerous sometimes when you can't find the information that you need. Okay, a couple of quick add-ons here if I've got time. Echoing what Brian was talking about on the Clean Buildings Early Adopter Incentive Program, I think he mentioned this was underutilized, and I want to second that notion. So remember, this applies to buildings that are greater than 50,000 gross square feet and 15 EUI above the target. So for those buildings that meet that requirement, and this is statewide, there's an 85 cents per gross square foot incentive paid. And there's a total, I believe, of $75 million for state funding for this. So a lot of good information and a lot of good ways to comply. This incentive program started July 1st of 2021. So we're about 8 months in, and we just haven't seen a whole lot of uptake yet on something that people will need to comply with, again, if they meet the eligibility requirements. Another quick extra is commercial heat pump water heaters. Things have changed fairly recently. So heat pump water heaters are now required for commercial new construction in the city of Seattle. Now note, a very important note, gas or electric resistance can be replaced with in kind with the same gas or the same electric resistance for an existing commercial building. However, if you have a hotel or multifamily building, you are not exempt. So you're required to replace whatever you have with a heat pump water heater. So we can still incentivize on those heat pump water heaters. The thing is, it has to be, we're going to pay for any savings that are better than code, and code is somewhat restrictive on this. So if it's a code minimum heat pump water heater, that's great. You'll have met the requirement, but there aren't much in the way of savings. But if you exceed that and do something better, that's where we can pay that 27 cents per kilowatt hour for that heat pump water heater. It's a little better than that. All right, I've kind of motored through things in a real hurry. I do want you to know we have instant discounts. That's the midstream program through qualified distributors. We have rebates that are online. You simply take your information, you can upload it. It works actually very well to do the rebates for the incentivized equipment. And then the regular incentives that we have, kilowatt hour savings for lighting, HVAC, and whole building performance. So when in doubt, contact the energy advisors, and I'll put their contact information in the chat as well, just to help you get started. So we're throwing a lot of stuff at you, but feel free to ask questions.
Thank you, Lynn.
Hey.
Sounds like things are busy at Seattle City Light. Any questions?
We're very busy.
The only thing I will add, if anybody's been following the state legislature, is that they've reduced the threshold to 25,000 square feet on the bill on HB 1257 to accelerate
25,000. Okay.
25,000 square feet to accelerate the implementation of that. So
Okay.
I don't know if the utilities are probably going to react to that, but it's a smaller threshold.
Yeah.
I think it's down to 20,000.
Oh, well, there you go.
20.
I think Brian showed 20,000 as I recall.
20,000. Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. But it was about 17,000 buildings statewide at the 50,000 square foot threshold. So I would assume a third to a half more at the 20,000 square foot threshold. So that's a lot of buildings in the state now that need to meet a performance standard.
Totally.
Dwayne, Brian, again, if I could, there's about 14,000 that are 50,000 square feet and above.
Yep.
And we're
Yep.
getting closer to 80,000 when we talk about 20,000 square feet and above.
Wow.
So it's pretty significant. So there's going to be a lot of work out there. And I just wanted to latch on to what Len was saying, because PSE obviously provides gas in the areas where Tacoma, Seattle City Light, and SnoPUD operate. And I just want contractors and customers to know that they can double dip on our programs. So if they're doing a commissioning or a pay for performance in our territory, but the electric is one of the PUDs, we're totally fine if customers double dip on electric and gas savings, even though it's split between two utilities.
Mm-hmm.
So just seems logical, but not everyone knows it.
Great. So, Sin, are you online?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you
Yeah,
see
I
me?
can.
Yep.
So let us know what Snohomish PUD is up to.
Well,
Okay.
just before
Hold
we
it.
move on for a second, I did see Matt Daly had put in the chat a Teams question. I'm not sure what that's referring to. If there's another question we haven't seen.
Matt, are you there? What's the question?
I'm there. I saw something popped up on my screen about, and somebody can everybody say if they received Teams, and then I didn't catch the rest of it.
Mm-hmm. We have Teams, so I don't know.
We're on Zoom. I don't know Teams, so.
Right?
Mhm.
That's why I'm wondering what that's about.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Lindsay.
I'll
Okay,
ignore
I
it.
guess not pertinent for us. Okay, thank you.
Ignore Teams.
No team for now. Yes.
Okay, Sid.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for inviting us to present. My name is Sin Tran, Senior Program Manager at Snohomish PUD. I started out this career out of college at Seattle City Light and was there for 15 years. I believe first projects on HVAC controls was with no one else but Dwayne Llewellyn. Yes, many years ago. Remember that, Dwayne?
I do
Auto
remember
Trader,
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Auto Traders building in North Seattle Shoreline. Yes, yeah, that many years ago. Yeah, I'm now with Snohomish PUD. In a month or so, be 14 years there. So today I will present, and I also have a team of engineers and program managers. I will introduce them along the way, so you can have the name to the face. Let me share the presentation. Share my screen. Okay. Can you all see this?
Yep, I can see it, Sin.
You do, great. Okay. How come I don't see yeah.
Wait a minute.
Can you see now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yep. Snohomish PUD, and we created this presentation for this meeting. So this is our goal and budget for the year. A little less than last year. The numbers will be the same pretty much for next year. Is every cycle of 2 years, so it will increase every 2 years. So for the next 10 plus years or so. So this is the goal and budget for this year, and it's for commercial, industrial, and multi-family. And that's just a pie down there. I will go through the programs with the program managers. The first one is lighting. One of the, of course, it's a popular programs measure, and I have John Pitosha. He's a program manager for this as well. Trade Allies. John, are you there, John?
I am here, Sin.
Yes. Would you present this for us?
Sure. So, commercial lighting program, senior program manager here at the PUD. I've been here 14 years. I think Sin and I started within a day of each other. So I think the lighting programs across the region are pretty much the same. I want to emphasize it's pre-approval for all of our commercial programs. The biggest change this year is we increased our incentive for linear LEDs to about 25%. We average 20 cents per kWh, but it varies. We actually do our incentive levels a little bit different than everyone else. We have 3 tiers, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So tier 1 would be under 4,000 hours. I think tier 2, if I remember correctly, is 4,000 to 6,000, and then 6,000 and above. So a little higher incentive at the lower tier or tier 1, just because we want our smaller customers to get the same kind of payback that somebody operates 24/7 would. Pretty simple. Our workbook is constantly being updated and made easier to work with. In fact, we've got some exciting changes coming out to it here in the next month or so. Okay, Sin.
Thanks, John.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Next one is a rebates programs. Rebates is the one that's prescriptive. So energy savings per unit, per ton, per unit, etc. And the first slide here for the rebates or the HVAC controls, which has heat pumps and ductless heat pump and pocket summer heat pumps, etc. Thermostats, but it also has the advanced rooftop controls. So this one is the joint utility program. So the incentive level for four utilities are the same. So this slide is dedicated to HVAC and controls. And the next one also rebates is building envelopes, and so have windows and insulation. This one is for multi-family as well. And then we have refrigeration rebates. First one is ECM motors for retrofits only. And we have anti-sweat controls, and that can apply to new construction, and strip curtains for walk-in freezer and coolers. So that's the slides for refrigeration. And this one is for water heaters and water juicing devices. So heat pump water heaters are in two places. Will be in midstream for units for size under 120 tons, and this is for bigger 120 tons or larger. We have pool pumps for swimming pools and commercial clothes washers. That's for rebates. And another rebates, compressed air. Compressed air is rebates is by the Snohomish PUD. Their rebates are regional from BPay, the DIM number and stuff. So this is SnoPUD rebates for compressor under 75 horsepower. Of course, bigger than that, we go to custom incentive programs. And beside compressor, we do have rebates for dryers, storage tank, and drains, and filters, and even system pressure reduction. So that's for compressed air system. And for industrial rebates, BPay added this a couple of years ago. High frequency battery charger and welder upgrades, and also water system leak abatement. So these three are for more for industrial. And then we have other rebates such as demand control, kitchen ventilation, generator block heaters, and even vehicle engine block heater controls. So it's more engines and kitchen. And next one is we call it building efficiency programs. It's custom projects. It's like a catch-all program. If it's not under lighting, if not under rebates, it's fall under this. And this one might depends on the technology or size of project. May require pre and post metering. The rebates and lighting would pay up to 100% of project costs, but for custom projects, we pay up to 70% of costs. So controls, 20 cents per kilowatt savings. HVAC equipment system, 35 cents, and process equipment like refrigeration and pumping and stuff, so 35 cents as well. And under building efficiency program, we have a horticultural, cannabis, indoor ag, lighting, HVAC. So for lighting, we pay 20 cents. There's interactive HVAC savings, we pay that as well, 20 cents. But lighting in non-production areas, such as outdoor hallway and stuff, is 12 cents. And then HVAC, 35 cents, like a custom project. For this program, we pay up to 100% of material costs, just equipment costs, up to 100%. And we cap per project $150,000. This one, Rob and Rick are the two active engineers working a lot on this. So save your questions. If you have any questions, we will be glad to answer. Okay, next one is like clean buildings. And this one, Kelsey
I'm
Lewis
here,
is one of our, she's one of our new engineers and program managers, and she will be presenting this one, and we have a benchmarking as well as accelerators, and Kelsey will present this for us. Go ahead, Kelsey.
Hi, everyone. I am the SEM program manager at the PUD. I've been here for about a year, and we have a clean buildings benchmarking assistance program that we launched last year, which is a incentive of 5 cents per square foot of conditioned space up to $15,000, or 70% of the cost, 100% if they're all electric, to help sites benchmark their buildings for being in compliance with the Clean Buildings Law, to help set up their Energy Star portfolio manager account, and then also provide a detailed building audit that includes a minimum of 3 energy efficiency opportunities. And we anticipate having that through the end of this year. And then we also just launched a Clean Buildings Accelerator pilot, which we are partnering with Stillwater Energy to provide that. And shout out to PSC for giving us some tips on their experiences with their pilot. But we have 10 participants, and this is meant to be more comprehensive. So benchmarking, is really just helping with one part of the law, but the accelerator pilot is run more like an SEM cohort. They have 4 months of sprints where they get to have fast-paced learning, and then we're doing a 1-year M&V period where they have quarterly workshops and coaching calls, including a virtual energy scan. So we are not paying incentive for those savings like we do with our industrial SEM program, but we are paying for the implementation of that program, and we will claim savings after a 1-year M&V period.
Right. Thanks, Kelsey. New construction. Yeah, this one we rolled out a year plus or so ago, getting popular. And this one is a third-party program. So we work with Willdan. So Willdan operate and answer this program for commercial, industrial, and multi-families. And we pay for design, and there's additional bonus for all electric facilities. And we didn't have a design team stipend as well. Allison Lorenzo, she's working directly with Willdan on this. She's not here today, but pretty much this is information. And if you have any questions, we'll be glad to reach out to you. Next one, direct install. This one is also new. It's under we partner with Puget Sound Energy (PSE) to help conduct energy efficiency surveys and install low cost solutions. Including a no-cost comprehensive assessment and energy savings report. So for small businesses, we do have this program, and again, we partner with PSE on this. So a lot of simple energy upgrades such as lighting, sensors, and refrigeration, etc. And this one is new as well. We also work with team up with PSE and Seattle City Light, and Kevin Watcher has been working closely on this, and he's one of the he's a command contact person for us. Kevin, I believe you're here, right, Kevin?
Yes,
Kevin?
and yep. I'm here, and this is the really cool thing about the program is that if you're doing a job in either PSC, Seattle City Light, or Snohomish County PUD service territory, the process and the rebates are the same. So you don't have to worry about, I'm working in here, I only get this much. The rebate puzzle is pretty simple through the midstream program because it's pretty much all the same. I think CLC Light has a couple measures that they only do, but for the most part, it's pretty well straight across the board. If you're installing this and piece of equipment in any of those 3 service territory, it's the same rebate amount. And we all are dealing with the same distributors. We have the heat pumps, air conditioners, VRF systems, and on the heat pump water heaters, it's up to 120 gallon systems. Anything over that, you should contact your utility because those are more advanced and probably needed a little more help than your off the shelf unitary unit that are pretty much plug and play.
Right. Thanks, Kevin. Yes, and like Brian said, so if you buy heat pumps here, and you can still apply to our rebate programs, it's the savings and incentive marked out automatically, so we don't count anything twice or pay twice. So That's our midstream program. Next one, we have marketplace, and Carolyn B is our program manager. I believe she's here and she's can present this slide for us. Carolyn. Carolyn, are you there? I thought I saw her name. Hello, I guess not. Okay, this is the marketplace that customers can buy directly, and there's deep discounts. There's a free bundles that we send out to our customers. The bundles can be like up to 250 for a bundle. It has lighting and shower head, etc. And there's daily deals, so thermostats, advanced power strips, etc. And you can buy efficiency lighting up there as well. And we have there's instant rebates, just apply at checkout. So it's like a marketplace that you go there and buy energy efficiency stuff. Next one is Sam, Kelsey programs, and Kelsey.
I'll take it away.
Present. Yes.
So we've had our strategic energy management program since 2017, and we had a few pilots before that, but we started with a manufacturing energy cohort and wastewater energy cohort that have evolved over the years. So we graduated quite a few participants, and now we just launched a clean water cohort in the fall of last year. So we're just trying to find ways to continue those relationships with our participants, whether that's continuing on in the program or if they graduate, how can we stay engaged with them? We pay 2.5 cents per kilowatt hour, and we are also considering the new BPA measure for commercial SCM and potentially thinking about launching a CSEM cohort in 2023, but we kind of just want to wait and see how our Clean Buildings Accelerator pilot goes and how those two might work together. But we had a lot of great results working with ESI provided by BPA, and we see SCM as a big part of our portfolio moving forward.
Great, thanks, Kelsey. Wow, last but not least, this one is pretty cool and new, and I will leave that to John. John can present this for us. John.
Yep. Okay. Hi, Sin. So besides managing our commercial lighting retrofit program, I also manage our trade ally relationships on both the commercial and residential side. And in July 1st of last year, in the commercial side, we launched our project development incentive. I've stood in front of contractors for the last few years and thanked them for all the work they do. And when you keep saying thank you and thank you and thank you, to me, it sounds kind of hollow after a while. So realizing there is a cost that contractors incur to work in our programs, we require more than just going out and doing a lighting retrofit project. We ask for pictures, we ask for workbooks, we ask for spec sheets, we do inspections, we set up meetings. So we came up with the idea of reimbursing our contractors for some of the admin costs that we asked them to incur just to participate in our program. So for lighting, we pay 1 cent per kWh on the as-built at the end of the project. So if you do $1 million kWh savings, that is $10,000 to the contractor. We have one or two like that. Is that right? 1,000?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's 1 cent per kWh in lighting. I just authorized here while we were working a project for 182,000 kWh, which is $1,800 to the contractor for that project, over and above the incentive. So, and if a contractor does network lighting controls, we add another penny to that to encourage them to take the extra step, because that's what I have found, or what I've heard discussed many times, is contractors shy away from lighting controls because of the callbacks and the extra work there. So we launched it all the way through our programs for custom projects, 2 cents per kWh, and then the rebates, it varies depending on the type of rebate there is. And this is payable directly to the contractor, or actually it's not always the contractor, it's whoever does the workbook. So if we pay it to distributors, if it's a self-install at a school or, municipality, if they do the work and do all the things we ask for in submitting the project, then it's payable to them. But yeah, it's a little different than what's going on out there in the rest of the world, but it's a way to support our contractors. Without our contractors, none of our programs exist. And there are costs to participating in our energy efficiency program. So just acknowledging that there are some costs and helping cover some of those admin costs.
Right.
We've
Thanks,
also,
John.
and we did launch it on the residential side January 1st too. So it's across all of our energy efficiency programs.
I see. Thank you. And the next one is the last one is a application process. And John, please.
Okay. So one of the common themes about the application that I think is important is pre-approval on all of our projects. I've had to turn down lighting projects in the past where somebody sends it in and the work's already done. So starts with pre-approval, submit your workbook, and we have a portal to do that on the commercial side where you can submit it to EE Biz. We review the project. Our goal is to authorize. Before COVID, it was 48 hours, 2 business days to authorize the project and get it out there. We'll send you an authorization note saying it's time, you can go. The project's been approved, you can start. At the end of the project, when it's done, we're going to ask for invoices, pictures, and actually just work with the engineer that's assigned to the project to make sure that happens. We'll go through and verify the project was complete and it met all of our specifications. If there's metering, it may take a little bit longer. And then once it's approved, we'll send the incentive check, whether it's assigned to the customer or the contractor or third party, whoever's doing the project. So.
Great. Thank you.
I would just one more thing. If people have questions, I encourage you to call.
Yeah.
I sound like a broken record when it comes to that, but if you've got questions about something, call so that we can make sure that the project that you're looking at gets approved and paid.
Yes. Yes. The last slide here is just show a couple of pictures. So we redesign our webpage, SnoPUD. So it's pretty nice and easy now, I would say. So yeah, when you have a chance to go to Snohomish, snopud.com, and under Save Your Energy and Go Business or Residential, and go from there. That's our new look webpage. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, I said, like Dwayne said, to save it toward the end.
Hey, Sin, thank you.
Back to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Sin. I have a soft spot in my heart for Snohomish County PUD since I worked there for like a dozen years in the 80s. So I just want to thank Sin, John, Kelsey, and Kevin for participating in our meeting today. And just congratulations to all of you for your efforts on 40 years of energy conservation at Snohomish County PD. And so Jack, are you still online?
I am, and I was under the impression we were trying to finish at 5, right?
We're trying.
Okay, so I will try to be quick.
Okay,
5:30, right? Is it 5 or 5:30?
No, Jack, you got it. Go for it, Jack.
Okay. Okay, so as he said, I'm Jack. This is Jack Seiger. Some of you met me a month or two ago when on heat pump water heater presentation, and I'm one of the engineers in the commercial industrial part of what we now call business customer energy programs, because we do a little bit more than just efficiency. In the interest of time, I won't tell you what I'm going to tell you. I'll just start telling you. So this is our team. There are 9 of us on the team, a little smaller than the others that are here. But
Anyone else seeing your screen? I'm not seeing your screen.
Are you sharing, Jack?
I
just see
thought I
you.
was.
No,
Let
no,
me-
not yet.
Okay, how about now?
Now you are. Yep, there you go.
Hey,
Okay.
hey.
Thank you, Perry. Sorry. I guess there's a 2-step process there that I always forget to do. Okay, yeah, so there's the 9 of us on the team. Natasha's the manager of all of us. We've got a couple of lighting people, and the rest are engineers. And Seattle City Light already kind of talked about this, and probably everyone already in the room pretty much knows why we do conservation. It is our least cost resource. It helps engage customers, and we're required to by law. So what are some of the things we do? We do wear quite a few hats. So sometimes we're project manager, sometimes we're educator, advising people, helping you with ideas, researcher, and so on. So our basic programs are, we have one called Bright Rebates, which is lighting for retrofits. And then we have a custom retrofit program that's mostly where I work. That's HVAC and other commercial and industrial custom projects, new construction, and that covers major renovations as well as new construction. And then we do have some rebates, kitchen equipment, HVAC, and a few others. And we also do have a strategic energy management program, which is for those not familiar with it, it's where we engage teams to do low and no cost measures in their facility, rather than the big capital projects that most of the rest of them are about. So the way all our incentives work on, all the ones on this page, is similar to what the other utilities have shown you. Basically, when we get the project, and somehow we need to estimate how much savings there is. And the incentive is based on the kilowatt hours we expect to save in a year. So we have 2 different levels of lighting incentives. It's for small businesses, it's 19 cents per kilowatt hour, and that's actually up to 100% of the cost of the project. And for large businesses, it's 13 cents per kilowatt hour, up to 60% of the cost. In new construction, so for the rest of them, there's a thing called incremental cost that you've heard of a time or 2 here before, and you probably again, everyone in this room knows what that is. But basically, you take the efficient equipment that you're installing and subtract the baseline equipment, which is, like in the case of new construction, would be code minimum or perhaps a like for like replacement of other equipment. And so with the new construction, it's 20 cents per kilowatt hour, up to 100% of that incremental cost. HVAC, we're doing kind of a push on that the last couple of years, and we've raised that up to 30 cents per kilowatt hour. And again, if it's an end of life replacement, we figure incremental cost versus a code minimum or standard practice. And again, can be up to 100% of that, or 70% of the total project cost if you're just replacing for energy savings. And then everything else goes under custom. Basically, if you're installing some equipment or controls and can establish that there's some kind of savings, we'll probably be able to incentivize it as long as it's cost effective. And that's 23 cents per kilowatt hour, again, up to 100% of incremental, and 70% of the total project cost. We do have some straight rebates. You can see there, ductless heat pumps, $500 a ton, PTHPs, $100 each, DRF, that's a popular one, $400 a ton, a couple $100 for connected thermostats, which in many cases pays for it, and then a few miscellaneous ones. We have generator, block heater, some kitchen equipment, and smart power strips. That's at least the sampling of us. And my main message today, if you're doing a project in our area, please contact us early on. That gives us more chance to interact with you, maybe even give you some advice along the way that might help out, or might end up choosing different equipment or something. And if you have questions, contact us. If you're not sure if your thing will qualify, then contact us. In short, if in doubt, call us. So if we have any time left, then I'll take questions, and there's my contact information.
Hey, Jack, thank you for that. I think your most important slide was the first one that says that conservation is the lowest cost resource. Right?
Yes.
Right there. It's cheap. And so it kind of wraps around the whole presentation as to why the utilities are paying incentives, because they're purchasing energy from our buildings, our conservation power plants, and it's fairly attractive. It's nice to hear after 40 some odd years that the utilities are still buying energy from building owners. And so I just want to thank everybody. Does anybody have any questions for Jack?
I just want to say that the wearing many hats slide, having been in this industry for a long time, the more utilities understand that they are having to fill in the gaps in the system, that's really helpful.
Yeah, I am interested. What time is it? If we have a few minutes, obviously we are electrifying from the utilities, and so what are the utilities' position on fuel switching, converting from fossil fuel sources to electric sources? I'll leave that open for anybody.
Yeah,
before we get into that, I want to respect everyone's time. Thank you for joining us. If you're able to hang on and listen to questions and answers, that's wonderful. We'll stay here until everybody's finished. But I did want to announce the gift card winners for this month.
Nice.
Kayla Dakar, Kevin Smith, and Rick Rosenkild. So Rob Marks will be reaching out to those of you. But thank you to everyone who's here, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And back to questions.
Yeah, so what Dwayne's talking about, that there is, it's actually in the Washington State Constitution that we can't do what we call fuel switching. It turns out that's only for existing buildings. And, if we're going in there to give an incentive for someone to switch to electric from gas, we're not really allowed to do that. But there are ways that you can do that, and that is, like, if the organization has made a commitment to go zero carbon or low carbon, and then and they have the rationale for doing that, they can make the choice to do that, as long as we're not paying them an extra incentive for going to electric from gas, for instance.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Well, another comment I want to make, Dwayne, you looked at this chart here. Notice that solar PV and wind are now the next least costly resources. They are less than gas now.
Yes.
That is a change over time. Big change.
Yeah.
This is Kevin with SnoPUD, and I think that the Washington Constitution is that utilities can't finance fuel switching as part of their conservation goals, but we can pay for it outside of conservation or incentive. That's my understanding.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
If I may, I have a question on fuel switching. Shoreline, the city of Shoreline is no longer allowing, they're going all electric, non-fossil fuel. And so if we're doing a new school, of course, we need to go with electric. If we're doing a large scale retrofit, a renovation of a school, we also apparently need to go electric, otherwise it won't pass the code. So we'll want to talk with somebody about incentives in that case. Seattle City Light, that would be.
Yeah, the shoreline should be in our service territory. So feel free to, I'll put my email in the chat here, and then you can send me any questions.
Yeah, you should be able to use, no, if you, as an organization, have made the commitment to go all electric, you should be able to use an electric baseline, right, Brian?
Correct.
Okay.
So Dwayne, I have a couple kudos from the presentations. I just wanted to call out Snohomish PUD on two things. The PDI program, that notion that the person who's carrying the water as a contractor has real costs associated with the administration, that's brilliant. And I hope that's something that we see more across the other utilities as it gets going, once you have some success with that. I think that's a really missing piece out there. And then the other one was the midstream coordination between Puget Sound Energy, SnoPUD, and Seattle City Light. Again, because the suppliers are not bound by utility territories. Contractors don't think in terms of utility territories. So again, the more you can do upstream that's coordinated, that's really helpful.
Yeah, that's a good point, Perry. I mean, it's market transformation, right? So if you can deal with it upstream, then that will result in more savings. Any other questions? The only thing I wanted to announce is that the AEE West conference is in June. I don't know, Kristen, if you're still here, or Soph, if you want to, June, tell me, I'm going to miss this, June 14th, 15th?
15th and 16th, I believe.
15th, 16th. Okay.
That's right.
And registration includes a luncheon, joint chapter luncheon between ours, the Pacific Northwest, and then also the Columbia chapter.
Okay. Okay. So it is in
to be
Seattle.
Provided.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's live, so we can actually see each other and touch each other. Hugs optional.
Not required. Yeah.
Not required.
Not required. They're optional, but I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you at AEE West in June.
Yep, we will have a booth. So